Hey guys, Monster Matt here, and welcome to Monster Sanctuary. Now, I played this on one of our modded member stream nights, so I'm not exactly new to this game, but I really enjoyed it. I spotted it on Steam. It's about 20 bucks Canadian, give or take, so it's not too expensive. It is still in early access, but basically it has a very Terraria art style to it, but it's got like a light Metroidvania platforming thing going on. But the primary goal is raising, of course, the monsters in the, well, I mean, it's called Monster Sanctuary. So you raise the monsters, you build your own teams. It's kind of like Pokemon, but with some light platforming thrown in and a very cute little art style. And I thought that it was definitely worth a try, and I'm really glad that I did, actually. We'll be starting our own little adventure here. I figured we would test out a few things to start from scratch and show you guys what we kind of been up to over on the member nights a little bit, because honestly it's been a lot of fun. So you can choose between your two characters. One is red, one is blue. I don't, it's not like super obvious if one is a boy or one is a girl or what, but I played a little bit as the blue character, and one of the characters refers to you as a female, so it's possible it's boy girl, but like I don't think it super matters. Just pick whichever one you want to go with. I like red, so works for me. We shall be Matamon, trainer of monsters. Metamonsters, you know. Why not? And let's get going. The Monster Sanctuary is a land far from any other human civilization. I'm hopping around looking all happy. Got a bird flying around too. While wild monsters are dangerous to humans, monsters raised by them grow loyal to their owners. Well, that's good to know. You don't get ravaged by your pet. Most of the people of the Monster Sanctuary live in the Keeper's stronghold. Many of them learn to raise and train monsters, like the little wiggly mushroom guy there, and the happy slimes. They call themselves Monster Keepers. We keep weapons on the walls just for fun, I guess. Choose the familiar of your bloodline. Okay, so this is your partner, your first starting creature. You're not obligated to keep it by your side for any length of time. It's just kind of there to start you off. Each of them has their own ability, although the lion and the wolf have essentially the same power. It's like a claw strike. The toad can barge things, so if you encounter like a big boulder, you can move. And the bird, of course, helps you fly over very short distances. It's called levitate, technically. It's a very short-range air dash kind of thing. Well, not like dash, but aerial movement. Anyway, they're reaching hard-to-reach places. All of their abilities can be replicated or found on other monsters, so it really doesn't super-duper matter which one you pick. You just kind of go with whichever one you personally like. On the member stream, we went with the Spectral Wolf, which is a water-wind element monster, and is pretty cool. I think this time around I'm gonna go with the lion, just to try something different. It is fire and earth, so it's quite literally the opposite. But of course, you can try the eagle or the toad, or whatever one you want to go with. Spectral Lion. Among the most prestigious monster keepers, there are 4 prominent old bloodlines tied to the Monster Sanctuary's history. Each of those bloodlines is aided by a spectral familiar. Those familiars are ageless protectors of their family, passed on from one keeper to the next. And yet somehow it starts at level 1. Matamon is just starting out to become a monster keeper like his ancestors before him. Dun, da, da, da. As with all starting monster keepers, his journey begins on the Keeper's Trail. His bloodline's familiar bears the form of the Spectral Lion. Name the familiar. Alright, well, I don't, as you guys know, I'm terrible at names. I'm just gonna go with one that sounds kind of kingly and isn't gonna take me all day long to think of. Go with Caesar. I'm pretty sure you can change their names later anyway, so again, not gonna let it bother me too much. Monsters are wild things. The only reason I'm helping you is the bond I share with your family. Welp. I don't know, I'll just ad-lib him, I think. It's more fun that way. Most monsters are less inclined than me to help you, and I'm only here because I have to be. That's why you must always raise your own monsters. They'll grow alongside you, just as I will, and they'll fight for you. More obligingly than me. The best way to gain a monster's loyalty is to hatch it from its egg. Of course, you'll have to fight to get those eggs. Look at that blob over there. So carefree, this little stupid happy grin hopping around, it makes me sick. Initiate a fight by contact. We shall see if you will live up to your ancestors or not. Let's go beat up this random happy blob. Poor blob just sit there like, what? Huh? Ooh. Play your turn. Alright, so our lion has the Ignite ability, the Claws ability, and the Stone Rain ability, as it is a fire and earth creature. It's got a neutral ability as well, because Claws, why not? Claws is actually kind of nice too, because it has it does bonus critical damage. If it happens to crit, it'll do significantly more damage than usual, which is always nice. Ignite can burn stuff, and Stone Rain is just throwing rocks at people. Some of them really are just like, yeah, here, just throw rocks at this guy. As this is our first fight, we don't really have a lot of options. None of our abilities are actually good or bad against a blob. Depending on which partner you take, that will be the case though, because the blob is weak to air damage and resists, I believe, water. That sounds right. So if you take like the wolf, for example, your ice ability will not work very well against it, but your air ability will, and so on and so forth. So for us, we'll go ahead and use Ignite, because damage is nice, burning is also nice. We hit kind of with Slime Shot, which we resist, because Slime Shot is actually an Earth element move, which as an Earth Fire Lion, we apparently resist. So it's not like Pokemon in that like it's not based solely on type. What a creature resists or does not resist. It's more unique to them. So like, while our lion is fire and earth, it chooses, or its particular species resists earth and not fire. So you know what I mean? Like just because a creature has a particular affinity for like that magic offensively doesn't mean they have anything about it defensively. It's unique to that creature. So we already have it burned. You don't really need to worry about anything else there. I guess I'll just go ahead and use Claw. It is cheaper on it costs less mana to use, and if we happen to score a crit, it'll do more damage. So no such luck. Still, we'll have it down next turn, easy peasy. So, and the poison it's doing to us is not hurting us too badly. So we got this, easy peasy. First fight, it's pretty much impossible to lose. You should be good. 3 stars. You know, not the best, but we didn't really have any options to do better. So basically, every fight has this like grading screen thing going on, where it tells you like, yeah, this is how hard the enemy was, this is how long you took to do it, this is how much health you have, your party has remaining, how effectively you use your buffs and debuffs, and overall your execution. Now, basically, the faster you beat it, and the more you use the mechanics of the game to your advantage, the better you will do, pretty much. So there's not much we can do about that right now. Even though we didn't do very well, we got the blob egg anyway, because it's part of it needs to give you a second monster. So you get the blob egg no matter how well you do or don't do. There we go. You received a blob egg. Good for you, I guess. Slimy little thing. Now you need to hatch it. Open the inventory menu and try to hatch it if you can. Just don't sit on it, because you'll break it and have egg all over your pants. It's terrible. Don't do that. Receive the blob. He's like, hi, how's it going? I'm adorable. You really are pretty cute. Name the blob. I'm going to name you Flubber, which was suggested by one of our chat members on that, because like I said, I played the first few hours of this game already on stream on Sunday night. So some of these names we've already decided. Once we hit new monsters, we can pick new stuff, or again we can change it later. So no big deal either way. Flubber! Okay, so we can check our monster's skills now if we want to as well. As you can see, our lion is a good bit tougher and better in pretty much every way, honestly, over poor Flubber here. He has higher attack, higher magic, higher defense, higher health. Their mana is the same, but in most regards, the lion is just better than the poor little slime. Let's see, his mana regen is the same, the crit chances are, that's standard, is the same, but overall he's bigger and tougher and scarier. That said, the Flubber and the Lion actually have a few things in common, in that they both have earth skills, so like the Lion here, and you'll see that they all have their own skill trees as well, and you'll see me putting a lot of time into fussing over these, because like you only have so many points to spend, and there are certain requirements to kind of get down to these ones, which I'll explain in a minute. But basically, the lion has Ignite, Stone Rain, and Claws, but has a fourth tree over here based around Fire Claws. And the reason it has 2 fire moves, basically, is because one is physical and one is magical. And that's the big sort of split, like in Pokemon or games like it. There is a difference, of course, between physical attacks and magical attacks. So, Fire Claws, Claws, and Stone Rain are all physical damage, but Ignite is magical damage. So, you'd think that would give you a pretty big leaning towards just going with physical damage over magic, but there are reasons, and there are other skills later on. For example, Jewel Blast is a magical earth skill. These are still physical. This is physical the whole way down. Like there are a few other magical-based things, like your Firestorm hits all enemies. Jewel Blast has a higher crit damage thing, like Claws, but it's magic-based. Like they have other abilities kind of snuck in the lower parts of their tree that might work on magic or earth or whatever. So this particular creature, the lion, is definitely set up to be more of a hybrid character. Sort of does both things equally well. And to support that, it has a talent here called Hybrid Mastery, where it gets 10% of its attack stat as a boost to its magic stat, and 10% of its magic stat as a boost to its attack stat. So it actually kind of feeds into itself, so it's kind of a nice thing to have. Whereas Flubber, a new little slime here, has actually more abilities than the lion does, because it has a water attack. It has 2 water attacks, actually, which is why I don't tend to use this one. But, again, I'm still learning myself, so maybe that's wrong. It has water, it has neutral, it has healing, but it also has earth. So I guess you can kind of look at the blob as being a water ground type, and Caesar, our lion, as being a fire ground type. Would be, like, I think, roughly correct. They are both weak to air attacks, but the lion, Caesar, resists earth, whereas Flubber resists water. So that's kind of just how they are. That is your first monster you've hatched by yourself. It's a blob, so don't be too proud of yourself now. Right now it's weak, because it's a blob. So you need to train it up and make it stronger. There's much more for you to learn, too. You and that blob are quite alike, because you're spineless and weak. Ha ha ha. Jerk. Let's continue on to Keeper's Trail. It will lead us to Old Buren, a friend of mine. He's a patient teacher to all young keepers who seek guidance. I advise you to listen to him very carefully, so you'll actually amount to something. It's like, thanks, Lion Dad. And as you're walking around, you'll see other creatures just kind of hopping around doing their thing. If you bump into them, you'll trigger a fight. Now, you'll notice that these don't come back right away when you beat them. They do respawn, but basically it takes a certain number of fights. I think it's 3, but I haven't quite confirmed yet. But like, it's essentially, if you want a particular group of monsters to respawn, just like, go fight 3 more things and come back. Essentially, is how it works. This is what I've found so far. All right. Now, how combat generally works, now that we have more than one monster, is actually, you'll see in the top left, there's a combo counter. And that's part of what makes this system a little more interesting than just regular Pokemon or other, like, party group games. And that it actually matters who goes first, in more than just like, okay, let's like there are some moves that will poison or set up for your next move, sure, but more than that, the number of hits you get in before your big moves matters. So like Arcane Bolt, for example, on Flubber is not very damaging on its own. It, only does 160% of its magic damage. Well, his magic isn't very high right now, so it doesn't do very much damage, but it hits 4 times. So we'll launch that off first. And you'll see that our combo counter in the top left goes up by 4, 120% damage, which means that whatever move we use now off of Caesar will do 20% more damage than it would normally. So the more hits you get in before your big move, the more damage the big move will actually do, which I think is pretty cool. So we'll use Ignite to set up that damage over time effect. So it'll whittle its own health down a little bit there at the end. Slime Shot for us. Slime Shot for us again. Poison both of us, which is actually pretty smart. The AI in this game is definitely not like it's not like it's not genius level AI or anything like that, but it's maybe a little bit less dumb than Pokemon's can be sometimes. they'll make mistakes, just like it will in any game. But yeah, it usually is. It doesn't feel like it's fighting with one hand behind its back most of the time anyway, which is nice. Well, there we go. And your creatures will heal between every battle as well, which you may think is good or bad depending on your personal preference. I know some people prefer it to be a little more challenging, but basically there's no Pokemon Center in this game, so like, I guess they figured rather than having rather than tying you to like a particular base of operations or forcing you to buy tons and tons of items, your team just heals on its own. At least right now, yeah, it's an early access. Maybe they'll change that at some point, but as far as I know, that's not the case. Based on the effectiveness of your combat strategy, you're going to get a rating of 1 to 5 stars. Earning a higher rating increases your chances of getting better drops, like rare monster eggs. So there you go. That's basically how it works. The better you do, the better your odds of getting, of course, eggs for more monsters, and then you can increase the variety of your party and whatever else. Young Keeper, 'tis the Keeper's trail's beginning, for all of man, beast, and sanctuary has beginning. Ah, new creatures. Here we have a Magma Pillar and a Rocky. So again, we only have the one move on our poor little blob here, so I'll go with that. I'm going to start on the Rocky because, as you see here, by the little tooltips, the Magma Pillar is weak to water and resists fire, whereas Rocky is actually weak to fire. So you should be able to use some setup on him to make our Ignite do a little more damage. There we go. Good chunk of damage on there. He's already almost down. Ah, barrier. Okay, so as you can see there, that's our first example of a buff spell. So your creatures have support magic and such as well. Thinking that fire might take care of the Rocky on its own. I'm going to focus on the Magma Pillar. If I'm lucky, that will be the case. Now, it resists fire, so we want to go Stone Rain or Claws. Both kind of do the same damage overall, it just depends on the number of hits. So, like, for example, if, like, the Lion, if Caesar was going to go before Flubber, I would use Stone Rain over Claws because it hits 3 times. It sets up the combo better, but once you're at the end of the combo, it kind of doesn't matter, whichever one you want to do. Ooh, see, there's that extra crit damage. Nice. Arcane Bolt from the Magma Pillar. Let's finish it off. There we go. So that was 2.5 turns. We got a 4-star. Nice. So 60% chance of a rare loot chance. So if we're very lucky, we might get an egg for the Pillar or for the Rocky. Rocky egg. Sweet. Okay. Didn't get both of them. We got one of them. Level 2. As your monsters gain experience in combat, they'll increase in level, like myself, because I'm amazing. This allows them to gain new skills. You should have a look at the skill tree menu. This is usually when it explains to you, like, hey, go do that thing, but I've already mentioned to you guys. So, we have 1 point to spend. This is where the real fun, at least for me anyway, begins. Where you need to choose like which abilities and which things you want. Now, to get down to the next tier at level 10, there are certain abilities you need to have. So you'll notice how the gray lines between these two vertically stretch from Ignite down here to all 4 of these. So you must have Ignite level 2 to get to the level 10 box below Ignite. Same goes for Stone Rain, same goes for Claws, same goes for Fire Claws. In cases where there are 2 abilities like this, you will notice there are 2 bars going down, but you don't need both of them to get to the next box. It's just that, like, for example, if you go to Arcane Bolt, if you only take Arcane Bolt 2 and not Bubble Burst 2, then you can only get Arcane Bolt 3, but you can still get the magic proc and the health plus of the next box, just not... You just can't progress down the path of the other move if you don't put any points into it, which may be fine for you depending on what you want, depending on what you're doing. We can take Ignite level 2 or Stone Rain 2 or Claws 2 right now if we wanted to. There are reasons to do that. There are also reasons not to do that. you can, you can change what level your moves work at anytime you like. So let's say we take Ignite 2. If we wanted to use Ignite 1, we still can. But basically, they do more damage but cost more mana is the trade-off. So Ignite level 2, for example, costs 80 mana, but does 35% more damage and has an extra hit. So it's better for setting up combos, does more damage, still applies the burn debuff, but it costs 30 more mana to use. And that's really the balancing act of the game, at least early on, is power versus mana. Because Caesar has 87 mana. You can see it by the little pot icon up there, in his stat line. He has 87 mana normally, and his mana regen is 43. So he already technically can't keep up with spending the mana he has level 1. Sorry, with his level 1 abilities, because this costs 50, this is 60, also 50, also 50 if we went and got it. So like his mana regen already can't keep up with this stuff. So if we went up to level 2, it would totally outclass what he can keep up with. So I'm not exactly in a hurry to get to level 2 right this moment, just because, you know, it will do more damage, but he won't be able to use it more than like one time. So it's kind of questionable. It's not as helpful. Now, if you were to go through his skills and stuff, and I've kind of looked at it a bit ahead of time, you'll find he has a lot of stuff that works off of, like, crits. So, like, here, like, this talent at level 10 is called, Critical Mass, where basically he has a 50% chance to gain a random buff whenever he lands a crit. This one is called Critical Heat. The first crit of any of his attacks applies burn. He's got Critical... Another one here somewhere, I'm sure of it. There it is. Critical Boon. On crit, it has a 50% chance to grant a random buff to another of your monsters on the team. So basically, you know, it definitely seems to be that he definitely benefits from having a higher crit chance. So I'm going to try and build him that way. He has other abilities though, which stack his which seem to benefit from having high health, like Life Overload. His attack and magic go up by 1.5% of his maximum health. He also has life stability, where his defense goes up by 1.5% of his health, and he even has life proc over here, or health proc, sorry, where he gets a bonus hit that does 5% of his maximum health as bonus damage. So he's kind of a tanky crit machine by the looks of it. I'm not quite sure how to build that, or if you even can build that, but I'm gonna try. That's gonna be my goal. So for right now, we don't have a lot of options for crit, just because we're so early on in the game. His base crit chance is 10%, which is okay, but like not reliable. This kind of thing, and we don't even have access to any of his crit talents anyway at this point in the proceedings. So for right now, I'm just gonna go and take the safe route, I guess, and go with Hybrid Mastery. It gets him a 10%. It puts 10% of his attack into his magic and 10% of his magic into his attack. So it'll be a little bump to all of his damage across the board, and just nice to have. So it's a 6-point boost into both of his offensive stats, which is not a huge thing, but it's better than nothing. So. Oh, and we're gonna hatch our Rocky Egg. Our little adorable little rock with a little flower growing out of his head. We're gonna call him Balboa, because why not? Adrian! And he joins the party at level 2. Now, one thing that slightly perplexes me so far is I have not been able to suss out the rhyme or reason in how egg hatching levels are determined, because I've had situations like this, where the egg hatches at the same level as your highest level monster, level 2. I've had other instances where I've hatched an egg with my entire party at the same level, so level 5 for example, and the egg still hatches level 4. And I have absolutely no idea why. That's the one thing I've not figured out yet. I've not sussed out what exactly makes an egg hatch at a given level, because it's not been consistent so far, so I don't know. Usually it's either the same level as your highest or maybe one level below. Usually. So we'll go with that for now. Balboa is another earth creature. This one's, I think, pure earth, pretty much. He doesn't really have any other abilities going. He's got neutral damage, he's got earth damage, he's got other earth damage. You know, he's got physical and magic. Now, you'll notice from his stats, by default, his attack is a little bit higher than his magic. He's not the balanced fighter that Caesar is, but then again, Flubber isn't either. He's more magically inclined. So I might shy away a little bit from his Spore tree. Spore does apply a debuff called Weakness, though, which makes them deal less damage, which is nice. I'm not going to deny that. But his physical attack is definitely a little bit higher. You'll notice his crowning stat really is his defense, which is enormous. It has an 8-point rating. Whereas, like, the highest rating on anybody else we've got is, I think, 7. Yeah, like, Caesar has a 7-point health rating, 7-point mana rating. Flubber has the same 7-point mana rating. This guy's got an 8-point defense rating. This thing is a wall. It sits there and it laughs at you while you try to kill it. And most excitingly is right here, in its very first tier, it has defense proc, which means whenever it hits something, it has a follow-up move that does half of its defense as damage. And its defense is huge. So I'm going to take that, because that makes me happy. Now, there is equipment for your characters as well, but right now all we have is wooden sticks. So we're just a bunch of guys running around waving sticks at each other very, very, very violently. Just like, but yeah. So, proceeding onwards. Also, the map drives me nuts sometimes, because there's like these corners, there we go, we got it, where like it just doesn't quite fill in. Aha! Our first chest. Obtained Cestus. That is a weapon. Actually, it's kind of like brass knuckles. Not exactly, but basically brass knuckles. So they give 30 attack, 30 magic, and 15 defense. Now, defense, of course, benefits Balboa, but he's also not much of a mixed fighter. Neither is Flubber. So I'm gonna give it to Caesar for now, until something better comes along. See what that does for us. Ah, people too. Hello, sir. Well, hey, friend, you're just starting as a monster keeper, right? Did you find some equipment for your monsters already? You can make your monsters stronger by equipping them. Yes, thank you. Yep, just covered that. Hey, fellow keeper, you know that every single one of your monsters possesses a special ability? Yup. Some can be used to get rid of certain obstacles. Also, you might encounter some destructible walls like the one behind me now. Go and try to hit it with a few of your monster's abilities. Alright, so, as I mentioned before, everyone has their own abilities. You know, Caesar's is Claws, Balboa's is Summon Rock, and of course Flubber has Bubble Burst, not to burst your bubble. So for example, bubbles don't break walls. Summoning Rock also does not break a wall. But thankfully we have Caesar, and those claws are mighty strong. Vital Ring. That gets us more HP, which is tempting for anybody, really. They're all kind of low on the health pool. We'll give it to Caesar for now, if only because he's ostensibly building health and crit. But, like I said right now, it doesn't matter too much anyway, because he doesn't have any of his talents that benefit from them right now anyhow, but... Kunai. Kunai with chain, as Joey Wheeler would say, or often say. So, Kunai is in the weapon. It is the same exact offensive stats as the Cestus, but it gives mana regen instead of defense. And this is where I start getting into the whole, like, hey, what's better than what, blah, 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 because mana regen is so important early on. Rocky actually suffers from having the worst mana out of our team right now. He's only got 73 base mana to begin with, and his regen is only 36. So he's honestly, his regen is a little sad. And his skills are actually more expensive too. So like Caesar, for example, you know, 50, 60, 50, Flubber's looking at like 30, 40. And here comes poor Balboa with his lesser mana pool with 60 and okay, well the leaf is 40 in all fairness, but like, you know, his neutral is 60 mana off the bat. Like there are some skills in Flubber's like level 2 which cost that much. So Balboa's big stumbling block is mana right now. So I might give him the kunai for now just to help offset that to some degree. But we'll find better things for him as we go, though. Oh, and there's a chest up there, but we just can't quite make it. So, definitely going to have to find another way up there. And hey, looky, there's a bird. If we are lucky, we might just be able to leverage that to our advantage. Alright, so like before, we're going to try and work in a combo. We have 3 monsters at a time now, which is the maximum you can have out at once, by the way, as you can probably tell from the party page. You can have 6 monsters kind of in your party, but only 3 can fight at a time. So, our Balboa hits really, really hard because of the defense proc thing we gave him. So he's actually a great finishing move because of just how utterly strong he is when he finally gets around to hitting something. So we're gonna have Arcane Bolt warm up on one of these slimes. Start the combo off. Nothing too horrifically damaging so far. I will say that Caesar's damage isn't half bad either, honestly. 180. Ah, see, that's what it is. See, because like the Leaf Slash hits only 3 times. It's 3 hits for half of his attack stat, which is all well and good. Whereas Stone Rain is 3 hits at 60% of his attack stat. So Caesar actually has the better, like it does more damage. The move does more damage, but Balboa is still clocking in at almost the same damage overall because of that follow-up move with the defense proc. So that's just how impressive those follow-up moves can be. So I gotta decide if I think we can take out this bird or not. So what I'm gonna do is, yeah, I'm gonna Stone Rain the bird. Well, no, Claw the bird. So either way, we're not gonna need to use Stone Rain on it as well. So this will do. We'll take out the Vero immediately. All we need to do is if we can clean up these 2 slimes in a timely fashion, we should be clear to hopefully pick up the egg of that bird, which will give us some more options for our party. So, bombs away, got a crit there, some nice damage. The punch combo will finish off the first slime. Leave us clear to use whatever we want to use on this guy. I'm gonna go with, I mean, Ignite Claws either way doesn't really matter. Like whatever damage we lose out by using Ignite, the burn will make up for. So I'm gonna have the slime heal itself, because again, your health factors into the grade you get to some degree. And then we'll have the slime finish it. Sorry, we'll have Balboa finish it off. Hopefully we'll get at least a 3 or 4 star and maybe snag an egg. Ah, 4. We got Vero Egg. Perfect. So we're all level 2 now, so hopefully the egg will be level 2 as well. Let's quickly stat out Flubber as well. Let's give him Acid Rain for his first water move. Of course, the real trick now is going to be deciding who stays on the team and who doesn't, because, like I said, you have 6 slots in your party, only 3 can fight at a time, so the addition of the Vero could be a bit of a conundrum for us, but we'll figure it out. Hatch Vero! And we will call him the Word, because, as you all know, bird, 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 bird is the word. So, the Word. The word for our bird. Level 2. Okay, so he's at least on par with the rest of the squad. That's good. So the Vero has is decidedly a flying element or an air element creature, as you might expect. Has neutral damage. Has 2 different physical air damages or wind damages. These stack up differently. So like the Featherstorm does low damage, even compared to other things, but it hits many times. So that's kind of what it's for. It's great for stacking combos. Like at the end, the Air Sickle does 5 hits, whereas the Feather does 7. So it's great for that. But he also has a huge buff tree. The Vero is a very, very good support creature. Has 2 different buffs in its first box. Pardon me. Has the Might buff, which raises your attack damage. Has a second form of that buff, so like it has like the level 2 of the Might buff here called Power, which applies Might to your whole party, and applies Sorcery to one of your team as well. And Sorcery is kind of like the magic equivalent of that. So has a double buff immediately. Can get the sidekick buff, which is a whole different buff, which gives the sidekick quality, which throws in an extra hit, which is a great way of building your combos. Even has combo buffing, which is a passive ability that every time he buffs anybody, they get there's one additional buff thrown into the mix as well. So a lot of ways to leverage that ability to just buff people, make them stronger. It's all good stuff. It's an attack proc over here in the air sickle tree. It's a mana proc down there as well, actually. So 2 procs, like the Vero is great for buffing and just getting in a lot of hits, which is good because out here in the level 10 box for its Featherstorm, there's there's a talent called Cascade, which means every consecutive hit does 5% more damage than it would normally. So for a high volume hit with Featherstorm plus the procs, I'm not sure if those count or not, but for a high volume attack like Featherstorm or Beating, which is also a pretty high hit move, it's neutral. Actually, it's 8 times, which is actually better than Featherstorm in the end, but it's neutral damage. But yeah, great for combo setup, great for support. The Vero is a pretty cool addition to any party, I think, or anyone that that needs that filled. Again, pardon me. For right now, already has Beating. We're gonna want to get at least some kind of air talent going here, because otherwise, we don't have wind on the party yet. So we go with Air Sickle because it gets us the attack proc. Next level. As for who to put on the team, I actually don't know. I suppose if I were to put in the word onto the team, we'd be exclusively physical damage, which has its issues, I guess. Pardon the phone ringing in the background. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want to be exclusively physical, but I mean, we can always change out later if we decide we need to. So I don't really have any other gear for it right this moment. I don't know. I do want to change up elements and such. But see, I guess the most logical thing to do would be to switch out Balboa for now, actually, which I don't necessarily want to do because it hits really hard. Because see, Balboa only has Earth, which we've already got covered, whereas the word is Air, as mentioned. So, I guess we'll give that a try for now. We'll give the word Kunai. She doesn't necessarily need a lot of... Like, he's got decent mana now, but we'll try it out anyway. We will give it a whirl. We now have access to, of course, his flying ability, which is the same one as the eagle at the start of the game. So with that, we can now do this. Which is Hide, which is our first accessory. Well, no, sorry, the ring was, my bad. But gets you defense and health. Which, if we were going to be building Balboa, would be good for him, because, of course, as he builds more defense, does more damage with that follow-up of his. So, I'll put it on the word for now, as he's kind of fragile. But if we put Balboa back in the party, it will definitely go to him, because defense benefits him a lot. Defense and mana, I think, would be best for him early on. Man prospered through generations, founded cities and nations, united by dirt and wheel, and later by steam and steel. Hello, what was that up there? Wait, no, come back! Some kind of creature we can't fly that high, so that's a mystery to us for now. The bracelet gets us defense and mana regen. See, that is exactly what Balboa needs. That right there is perfect for him. Because he is hurting real bad for that mana. Oop, hello. Missed some things there. Gauntlet. And that is defense and crit chance. Now, defense, of course, as I said, is great for Balboa, but crit chance is what Caesar is all about right now, so I'm going to give that to him. He needs to start upping his crit. 15% is not a lot, but it's better than 10. Here we have the sign. Right? The Keeper's Stronghold, and left, the Keeper's Trail. But what about down? Aha! See? 2 copper. Level 1 common upgrade materials. Okay, so that's useful for forging later. And we definitely can't get to there yet because, no, we just can't fly far enough. Like, we either don't have the height, or we can't, because this low low hanging rock here. It's no, like, it's super close though. Makes you feel like you can get it if you just keep trying, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to be able to just yet. It's just a little bit too tight. It's kind of a shame. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave it off right here for the first episode, you guys. Hopefully you've been enjoying this. I think this game is absolutely charming. It's super cool, and I will definitely be doing more episodes on it. Kind of sparsed out as I can. I can't make any huge promises. I will be, and I know it's kind of weird to have this out while I'm still not done the Pokemon Red Nuzlocke. I'll be finishing that too, I promise. I know it keeps getting pushed back. I haven't had the time for it and all that, and I'm gonna try and find a chunk of time this week and just record the rest of it. Just get it done, or at least get the most of it done. At least get the badges done, hopefully, so we can challenge the Elite Four real soon and get that over with. So, I'm sorry that that's been so delayed. Hopefully, you guys will enjoy this series alongside that one, and we'll see how we do. So, for now, thank you all so much for being here. Again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon. So, please take care of yourselves because you're worth it, and I'm Monster Matt out. Bye-bye!